Pointcounter is a sort of musical puzzle game where the goal is to visit every space on this spiral exactly once using 4 game pieces, 2 black and 2 white, which are to start on randomly selected spaces. First, I will explain how the pieces move, then I'll explain the scoring of points, and then I will explain how to make it audible. There are rules governing what distances between the pieces are allowed, except for the starting position. For the starting position, anything goes. But once you start moving the pieces around, you have to follow these rules. Black pieces may only be placed 3, 4, or 5 sectors from each of the other 3 pieces. Now, a sector is like a pie slice. So spaces 1 and 13 are different spaces on the same sector. Same with 2 and 14. Right, so black pieces can only be moved to sectors that are 3, 4, or 5 sectors from each of the other 3 pieces. And white pieces may only be placed 1, 2, or 6 sectors from each of the other pieces. 2 pieces may never occupy the same space or the same sector. So this is not allowed and this is not allowed. And the greatest number of sectors is 6. So if you think something is 7 sectors away, for example, if you had a piece on 1 and a piece on 8, you might think, oh, 1 to 8 is 7 away. But when you're counting sectors, you can count the other direction. So if you go the other way around the spiral, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this piece is actually 5 sectors away from this piece. You may choose to move any of the 4 pieces you like. There's no rule about alternating black and white or anything like that. And you can move them to any of the legal spaces that are available to them. When a piece is moved, the space it was occupying should have a stone placed over it, like so. That space is now off limits for the rest of the game. If you reach a point where there are no legal moves and there's still empty spaces left on the spiral, then guess what? It's game over. Try again. Now, I said that anything goes for the starting position, but that was not exactly right. There's the rule about occupying the same sector or the same space still applies. So if you're using a random number generator to get a starting position and it gives you 6, and then the random number generator gives you 18 for the next piece, well, 18 is no good, so just get a new number. And there are 2 formations of the pieces that result in automatic game over. There's no legal first move. I won't show them here, but if you get one of them, then just throw it out and get a new starting position. It's fairly unlikely that you will get one of those positions if you're choosing randomly. So here the pieces are randomly distributed, and I will show a couple moves just so you can get an idea of how the pieces can move before I play a full round. So, are there any moves available? Yes. For example, if I want to move this black piece, I could move it to either of these 2 sectors. Let's say I choose this one. Let's see why that is acceptable. We need to count the sectors from each of the other 3 pieces. So from this white piece, it's 1, 2, 3. That is okay. The other black piece is 1, 2, 3, 4 sectors away. And this white piece is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sectors away. And remember, black pieces can move to sectors that are 3, 4, or 5 sectors away from the other pieces. And that's exactly what we got, 3, 4, and 5. So that is acceptable. What if we wanted to move a white piece instead? I see an available move. we could move this white piece to space 16. And remember, white pieces can move to sectors that are 1, 2, or 6 sectors away from the other pieces. So from this piece, it's 1 away. From this piece, it's 1 sector away. And from the other black piece, it's 2 sectors away. So that is completely acceptable. It could have also moved to space 4. It would be the same thing. It's still 1 sector, and 2 sectors. So now I will explain how to count points. Once you have confidence in your ability to find a solution, you can try to find a good solution. A good solution is one that results in as few points as possible. Each time you move a piece, you receive an amount of points equal to the number of spaces the piece moves. And again, that's spaces, not sectors. So moving a piece from space 1 to space 14 would result in 13 points, even though it's only 1 sector. So you can just subtract the numbers that are on the spaces to get the amount of points. So you should try to make moves that are as small as possible. But be careful, because making a lot of small moves might result in the need to make a lot of large moves later. And the final score is the total of all moves made. So getting a good score can therefore require some long-term planning. In my personal experience, a good score is in the 60s or 70s, and a not-so-great score could be like over 100. But getting a bad score and completing the spiral is better than getting game over with a great score, because then the great score is completely meaningless. And if you want an even greater challenge, try doing it as fast as possible. Now, I mentioned that it's a musical puzzle game, but I haven't said anything about sound, so now I'll explain how that works. Each space on the spiral represents a tone in the chromatic scale. So neighboring spaces are a half step away from each other. Therefore, spaces in the same sector are an octave away from each other. Since there are always 4 game pieces on the board, there is always a 4-note chord playing that changes 1 note at a time, each time a piece is moved. For the purposes of this game, I'm considering minor and major seconds, minor and major sevenths, and tritones to be dissonant intervals. And that's in any octave, so minor ninths are the same as minor seconds in this context. And I'm considering minor and major thirds, minor and major sixths, and perfect fourths and perfect fifths to be consonant intervals. Therefore, every time a black piece moves, the chord becomes more consonant or remains equally consonant/dissonant, and every time a white piece moves, the chord becomes more dissonant or remains equally dissonant/consonant. And you can use any sort of acoustic or electric instrument you like, as long as the pitches are discernible. Beginners might need to stop and think about a position for several minutes, because it can get pretty complicated. So an instrument that can play the tones as some sort of loop or drone might be recommended. Or if you are fine with having long silences, that's fine too. Do anything you like. And now I will attempt to play a full round as a demonstration. Wish me luck.